Hey, everybody, welcome to Holding Priority Podcast number 8, the Assassin's Creed set review. We'll be reviewing cards in the set. No promises they'll show up in CEDH tournaments. We just want to show you some interesting cards that we looked through and thought, oh, that's cool.
I think it's mostly going to be a more casual set. However, Magic is really good about having sets that come out that kind of hit one of that special place for some of the games that you've probably played as a kid.
Yeah, it definitely looks like kind of a assassin type set. But I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Not really sure if it's worth buying packs, maybe just singles, but we'll go over everything after the shuffle up.
For sure.
All right. So we did get some feedback on our MH3 set review. We got a comment from TK that said that when we said we didn't know if it was called colorless or waste, when referring to the generic cost in a card, it's called 5 generic mana.
Yeah, I think that as Eldrazi's and things get more prominent as far as possible um, decks and things that could come out, newer ones, it might be better to say the correct term because it was.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks for the.
I'm
Thanks
gonna
for.
mess it up this video for sure
Oh,
at some
I'm gonna
point. Yeah.
try. I'm gonna try, but thanks TK for sure. That does give some insight. I didn't even
Yes.
think about it.
And then we had Jade Sushi tell us that there was another Eldrami previously printed in Tempest called Eldrami Lord of Leaves. He was 2 green mana, summon legend, 2/2. All elves gain force while elves cannot be the target of spells or abilities. So he was a common in that set.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, looking at that or hearing about it, it's kind of crazy that I didn't think about it because it seems to be a prominent card in Elf Ball that
Yeah.
we would see, and I just didn't even think about that one.
Yeah, I knew that there was Eldrami's call, but I didn't know that there was actually a printed Eldrami. So thank you, Jade Sushi, for pointing that out.
For sure. Thanks, guy.
And then, as always, we are going to be doing a card review. We will have the cards up on YouTube. So if you guys want to check out our YouTube, it's Holding Priority Podcast. If you search it in YouTube, you should find us right away. It's just Holding Priority on YouTube. But if you search Holding Priority, you'll find a bunch of magic rulings. So Holding Priority Podcast will get you right there. We will do our best to read the cards first and then talk about them. So if you're listening on a podcast, you should be able to follow along. But if you're the type of person that wants the cards up in front of you as a reminder as we talk about them, head on over to YouTube.
For sure. Always comment. This gives us something to look at and kind of gives us confirmation that you guys are watching and seeing and commenting and giving us some feedback. Because
Yep, and we upgraded the YouTube visuals quite a bit. So if you go check that out and you like what you're seeing, please let us know. All right, let's start with the card reviews.
Ooh, so I'm gonna try to say it. The Capitoline Triad.
I was going to say capital lines. So I think you're right, though.
I think this is interesting. Do I think that this is going to be game changing? Maybe not. Do I think that maybe in an Urza, maybe in something like Urza that would use a lot of artifacts, could it be used? I could
Well,
see it. I think.
yeah, let's explain the card so
I'm
people that are
sorry.
listening aren't
Yeah.
just like, oh. So it's the Capitoline Triad, 10 generic mana, legendary creature, god artificer. It has an ability called Those That Came Before. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each historic card in your graveyard. Historic cards are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with total mana value 30 or greater. You get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness 9/9. It itself is a 7/7.
Yeah, I like I said, I think that an Urza or something like that could play it because you're gonna have artifacts in your graveyard at that point. I don't really know about the sagas so much, but definitely artifacts is where I'm feeling this card.
Yeah, I don't know if you're really ever gonna get 30 mana value or greater. Because I mean,
Oh, mana
in
value.
yeah, in
Okay.
CDH that would be like what 15 cards almost.
That's my fault. I misread the mana value. I was thinking like number of cards.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
so I was thinking, your Jeweled Lotus and stuff into grave. Yeah, I mean,
So
maybe with like Command Sphere and stuff where you just kind of do it. It's not as good as I thought, I guess.
I do see it going in the prismatic bridge decks because a lot of
Oh, yeah.
people run those as god typal. And this itself is a god artificer. So I mean, I've seen I've been surprised how often I've seen prismatic bridge in tournaments. Like we saw it at TCG Con. We saw it at I saw it at the tournament that I won with Itali. The
Yeah.
first round I went against somebody that was God Typal, where they just got Perforos out and just went crazy. I did steal their Perforos with Itali though, so it was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I don't really know if this is ever gonna see actual CDH play. You'd have to do a mill deck, and honestly, if you're milling that many cards, you probably should just be doing Underworld Breachline at that point and winning the game.
That's true.
Um,
Again, that was my fault. I honestly thought number. I was thinking, your Lotus Petal, maybe drop it, 4 or 5, and then it might, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The mana value is gonna stop a lot of what I was initially thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there is a world that you cast Underworld Breach and you mill so many things in that you can cast it for 0 and then just exile 30 and then you have 9/9s that can't swing that turn,
I mean,
probably.
unfortunately though, if you're Underworld breaching and past the turn, you're not doing something right.
Yeah. Now, would this be a awesome colorless commander for casual? Yes. Like,
Yeah, I do think it's. I think the card is cool. I
yeah.
just don't. I don't see it practical, and
Yeah.
which is a little bit. I guess my CEDH mindset is hard to turn off, but
Yeah, I think for somebody, I know a lot of people enjoy building casual colorless commander because it is a challenge. I think for somebody that wants to build a challenging deck, this is a great commander to build around to kind of just show off your deck building skills. I mean, could be wrong. I don't really see it being a CDH card, but is it cool? Yes. Like, I'm not really too sure where all the prices landed on this set, but in my mind, this outside of reprints, this is probably one of the bigger pulls of the set as far as like how excited I would be.
it's kind of hard to place values on sets until they've been out for a month
Hmm.
ish, in my opinion. But I do think that the art is really nice on it, and that it looks like it's going to be a kind of a grab card. Like you're going to kind of want to see it in a pack.
Yeah, and around here, we definitely will just put things on the podcast because we're like we like the art. We just want to look at it for 5 minutes.
Totally not this one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, when you're talking about value, there is a card that it's in this review, so I'll hold the name till then. But I was excited about it, and I thought it was going to be one of the pulls of the set. I didn't notice that it was an uncommon, and it's 17 cents. So yeah, I have no basis of price. Like,
Unfortunately, this may never have been true, but in my mind, playing throughout the years, rarity has not always been the deciding factor for usability or
yeah.
practicality in certain cards. But um,
I mean, there's cards like Ulamog that come out and they're mythic and they're $85, and then there's other cards that I won't name them, that they come out, they're mythic and they're 15 cents. So
And then you have something like Shieldred's Edict or
oh yeah, yeah.
Edict.
It's
And
$6 uncommon, yeah.
yeah.
Or the spellcraft guy that you have in Kark Shakashima that every time you cast a copy gives a treasure. He was $5 for a
Storm.
while.
I think it's Stormkin.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that set Strixhaven had several uncommons because it also had the blue go find a sorcery. I always forget the name of the card because I ran it for a little bit.
I was gonna
Solve
say
the equation.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Spell Seeker, but that's not it.
No, solve the equation was in there. I think the approach of dragons or whatever was in there too. Like there were quite a few uncommons in that set that were worth $5, and then you got all of the Strixhaven reprints. Like I really wish I would have been collecting more whenever that set came out because
Yeah.
I would have went hard on it.
It, it's funny. You live and you learn though, because some sets come out and you're like really hyped for them, and whereas they have some cool cards, they're not really seen play.
Yeah.
So
And some sets come out like Assassin's Creed, where I didn't really know it was coming out till the week before. There were no events around it, and it just kind of dropped.
realistically, I was at our local shop, and the whole week it had been posted that they were going to draft it,
Hmm.
but I guess it was overlooked that the packs are smaller. It's like 7 cards a pack or something,
Yeah, I think the play boosters are 7, and then the collector's boosters are 10.
which,
So yeah,
which caused a problem drafting.
yeah, yeah.
Now, they made
Well,
it work,
it
but
also came out the day after 4th of July. So, like, I know that I went to my local game store whenever they opened and they were like, oh, we don't have them because there was no mail yesterday. So,
oh,
like, we're literally waiting for USPS to drop them off today.
yeah.
So, I think it was kind of a fumble all around. Still cool set. But yeah, I was also looking at the podcast and we're on episode 8. And I want to say that, like, 5 of the episodes have just been set reviews, and we come out with an episode every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks we have had, and we've done like bonus episodes too. Like the Commander set was a bonus episode, and we're just constantly reviewing cards. Like we don't really have to come up with very many because I think there's like 16 sets that come out like a year. So that number is wrong, but like we have been reviewing cards so much on this podcast that I think we've only had to come up with like maybe a handful of actual subjects.
Which would lead to a discussion at some point of maybe having more, not necessarily deck text, but kind of go through some of the top decks. That is something I would like to do eventually. But I think that Magic has, our Wizards has really been putting in work on printing cards. And
Yeah, I think eventually people are gonna kind of get exhausted. Like I will definitely say that this is the set that I was just like, I'm not gonna look at it. I don't care about spoilers because right now, at this current time, they were spoiling Assassin's Creed Bloomborough and then the horror set that comes out in September. And I was just like, why are they spoiling 3 separate sets right now? Like I've kind of hit peak exhaustion of I cannot get excited about these cards. Just let me know when they come out.
um, I think as far as Assassin's Creed, if you were a big game, like a big Assassin's Creed player, like as far as the video games, I think this is gonna really hit that feel because you're gonna be able to play with some of the characters and things. But
They have a lot of really good flavor cards
oh
too.
yeah, for sure.
Um, just for some insight, when did you look at this full set?
Ooh,
An hour ago.
yeah,
Same. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I did buy some packs
yeah.
yesterday, and thought really fun to open.
Yeah, it
But
was really cool opening them and seeing all the reprints and being like, I didn't even know this was in the set. And then every new card, I was like reading it for the first time. I mean, since we do a Magic podcast, that's not something that we get to do often, so that was cool. Like,
yeah,
all right, let's move on to the next one. Crystal Skull Issue Spyglass. Too generic, blue blue. It's a legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play historic lands and cast historic spells from the top of your library. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Tap, add a blue. So you probably want to run this in a legendary tribal deck. You can cast legendary lands from the top of your library. A lot of those tutor to top cards become tutor, and then you can play it. 4 for artifact is pretty massive. Also, it's cool that you may look at the top card of your library at any time, not reveal.
Kind of, yeah, it kind of gives you the a small bit of usefulness out of it. I
Yeah.
honestly don't think it's worth the 4 mana cost, but it does give you a blue mana as well. So it's bittersweet, I think. But
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too slow in CDH. Like the fact that you can look and you have the information, but no one else does, is pretty cool. It is pretty cool that you can play off the top of your library, so all those true to top cards are playable right away. Tapping and adding for a blue. Honestly, I wish it was just one generic blue blue and then didn't tap for a blue.
yeah,
4 is quite a lot. I mean, honestly, if you're in blue, you any of your tutor to tops, you shouldn't have a problem drawing them. If this was in red, I think we'd be a little bit more excited about it. But the fact that it's in blue and it's two blue and the mana cost is, I'm not too excited about this card. Maybe there's some crazy combos that you can do with it, but I think there's a lot of other cards, and maybe they're in green that just let you look at the top of your library anyway. Um,
maybe it's one of those cards that getting double of that effect or being able to use that effect twice, like how do you maybe like not scroll rack, but divining top to be able to kind of see what's on the top of your library and
oh
mess
yeah,
with. Just
senseis.
kind of
Yeah,
double that ability is
yeah.
probably where it's at.
I
But
was about to say if you could look at the top card of your library twice, it would you
no, 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 no,
just
no, no, no. Like having similar of the same card in the deck
yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It,
for
yeah,
consistency.
yeah. Not so much having them both on the same
Yeah.
on the table, but just in general of I have a Sensei's Divining Top. Maybe this deck is black blue, and you're using maybe you're using Bolas Citadel, and it gives you another card to look at the top. Maybe you're playing off the top, and that's where you're looking at. But
You know what's two blue and lets you look at the top card and counter stuff? Power balance.
oh yeah,
And people don't play that.
that's true. Yeah, so does Counterbalance. Really.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Well,
was
Power Balance
confused.
would be
Yeah,
red.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I meant counterbalance.
Yeah, I knew what I knew what you meant, I guess, but yeah.
Both of them do it. Yeah, I mean maybe there's a combo out there that I just don't know of. I saw a lot of people were excited about this card. A lot of them were more people that were into casual play. But I mean it's cool. I just think it's a little bit too slow for CDH.
So, you as the listener, if you are listening to this and screaming at us saying, "Well, you're not thinking of this," leave it in the comments
Yeah,
because I am sure we are missing
yeah. Please scream in comments.
it.
All right, next card. Desynchronization, 2 blue blue, so same cost as the Crystal Skull. It is an instant. Return each non land permanent that's not historic to its owner's hand. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. So it's each permanent to its owner's hand, so it's not like oh my god, I just forgot the name. Cyclonic Rift, where it's only opponents. So it does affect you too. But all of the artifacts, commanders, and sagas, if anybody's playing them, uh, do stay. So you're not resetting the board. People will still have their artifact mana. But it is 4, so it's half as cheap.
Yeah. I think it would drop off some of those Scoot Swarm. Well, Scoot Swarm turns in. He's not legendary though, so it
Uh,
might drop those Swarm decks like to pull them out of the way. So like Cyclonic Rift in it's like Cyclonic Rift in a board that's like going out of control. However, it's not as big. It would have to be non-legendary
yeah,
because
yeah,
you copy
yeah.
it. But I see it as being good tech to reset a board. And
Yeah, and I mean if your dock side is more than 6, you can play this, play dockside again, because it returns your own stuff.
hmm,
So you can get double docksides and send everybody's stuff back. I mean, I just think it's good. There's a lot of, I think MH3 put a lot of good stacks into the game. A lot of those being enchantment or non-legendary creatures. So if you're kind of ready to pop off, you can return everything if somebody's end step, untap, and get your turn in. It's just for me, it's one of those. There's I understand the need for a reset button in the game, and Cyclonic Rift was a good reset button. Toxic Deluge was another one too. This is a third reset button, which I mean, I don't know if people will run it. The fact that it's instant speed is really good. The fact that it returns your own stuff can be good, can be not good.
I think the biggest not good is roughly the two blue blue.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to be a little harder to meet than say deluge or something like that. But um,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good. I keep bringing up this deck, even though we don't really see it in tournaments. But Paco Halden will want to run it because Paco Halden is legendary and wants to get all those creatures out of the way so it can hit. So,
yeah, yeah,
uh, I mean, it's also good with the free running spells. You kind of force people to either block with their commanders if you want to get through. Um, if you have your commander out on the board that can swing. I think it's good. I don't think we'll see it as often as Toxic Deluge or Cyclonic Rift, but I mean, I think this is kind of the final nail in the coffin for like Blood Pod. We showed it to somebody that plays Winota, and they said that they don't really care if it hits Winota. I guess Winota runs a lot of legendary creatures. I know for sure that one of the big hits is the guy from Walking Dead, and he's legendary.
mm,
I don't know if Blade Historian is legendary. I don't think so.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, but I don't really think it resets Winota too much. I know it does remove their some of their like enchantment stacks pieces, but otherwise a lot of also too a lot of their creatures that they hit with are artifacts because they do the 0 drop thopters and all that.
You know what I kind of thought about just now? Um, if you're trying to do a dockside loop, um, this doesn't move artifacts. So, like, if I was trying to Psych Rift and then replay dockside, that could be somewhat of an issue because then everything is in their hand and I can't hit as many treasures with dockside. But
Mm-hmm.
this kind of sets it to where I put back some of the problem pieces, and I'm able to also get some of the treasures too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you would lose some of the enchantments, right? Because it's not legendary. Well,
Yeah.
sagas,
Sagas.
but
Well.
nobody really uses them.
Yeah.
But the enchantments sometimes are big.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you might want a Ristic Study to be put back in somebody's hand for
Yeah.
that turn. That would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about just being like, all right, I'm gonna go off this next turn.
Just
Ristic study, you can have this one.
yeah,
Like,
get
yeah.
get 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 off the table.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand the need for reset buttons. It just sucks that there's a lot of decks that really try to build up the board and they put a lot of effort into it. And then all of a sudden, here's a third card that can just be like, nah, the stuff that you've been doing all game, bye bye.
And
Like Elvery is a good example of that.
yeah, I think that it's decent tech. Uh, I'm looking at it more on a dockside play,
Hmm.
but or on a win play. Like if you need dockside to try to win, but you don't necessarily want your opponent to draw cards with like a Ristic or a Mystic. Um, I could see that being useful.
Would you run this in Blue Farm or?
No, not in Blue Farm necessarily. Because there's better options.
Yeah.
Uh, I can play around using a Cyclonic Rift instead of worrying about. Um, I would rather have Cyclonic Rift than that,
What about
personally,
Chain of Vapor?
instead of Chain of Vapor.
Yeah. Since Chain of Vapor,
Hmm.
your opponent can take control.
Yeah, but Chain of Vapor could put anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so if I'm looking at it from a one piece, Chain of Vapor is better. If I'm looking at it as let's say I draw two cards and I have Chain of Vapor and that, I would probably rather desynchronization on a mass level,
Hmm.
just so you can't put something back that I might have. But again, I think that player skill also would dictate the usability of this, if
Yeah.
that's the right word. But
And also too, it wouldn't return like a null rod or
yeah,
anything like that.
no, your Ristic Mystic is where it's at, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, you could also use it to return your own uh Mystic Remora too.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I think it's right on the cusp of like I don't think it would replace Chain of Vapor or definitely wouldn't replace Cyclonic Rift. Cyclonic Rift, the fact that you can use it at 2 and you can use it at 8 is insane. I think some decks might want to run this. Like I would say maybe I could find a place for it in like a heavy control deck. Um, but I think it's just on the cusp of playable, but probably I don't see a lot of people making room in their deck.
So I know we probably shouldn't speak in hypotheticals here, but personally, what it sounds like is it's a generic or a blue away from being really good.
Yeah,
Like if it was two or three.
if it was generic blue blue, I don't really think I would care too much. Now, if it was too generic and a blue, then it would be like, okay, Windfall's going out. This
Yeah,
is going
yeah,
in. Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, I think it's one away,
Hmm.
and probably purposefully so.
Yeah.
However, you know,
The fact that it's an instant is really generous, but the fact that it's two blue is, I think, kind of holding it back from everybody just being like, this is great. But I mean, a third reset card is I'm not too happy that it was printed, but I also don't think it'll make too big of a splash.
yeah.
All right. Eagle Vision. This is 4 generic blue sorcery. It has free running, 1 generic a blue. You may cast this spell for its free running cost if you deal combat damage to a player this turn with an assassin or a commander. Draw 3 cards. So it is a um, 5 mana sorcery that draws you 3 cards, or if you hit with your commander or an assassin, which realistically all of these are if you hit with your commander,
Yeah.
for our purposes. Draw 3 cards. So it's kind of an ancestral recall for 3, which is
Yeah.
pretty good.
I Any card advantage is good. I think that um, whereas it's needed to be so high in mana cost, I think that it's going to stop it due to, you know, if you're in blue, you probably don't want that there with Adnaz because it's just too high. But as far as just drawing 3 cards, if you hit, I mean, that's always good.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that the free running ability is very interesting. I like it. It's one of those things that's really close to being broken,
Hmm.
and a lot of these cards just yell Yuriko for me, and
Yeah.
I would see that as well being a Yuriko tech
Yeah, I
because Yuriko cares about the mana value as well, right? So
yeah. So
six
you could
damage.
hit everybody for five, you
Oh,
know?
oh, five. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this set is kind of Yuriko set. There's a lot of things that I see in not even really a Yuriko player. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a Yuriko card. And if you're a Yuriko player and you're like, no, I don't want to draw, like, let me know. This is just me kind of looking in from the outside. I also forgot that Ancestral Recall is just a blue to draw three cards. So I was like, yeah, this is Ancestral Recall. No, it's double the cost of Ancestral Recall. But again, another maybe a Paco Halden card.
I think that something else that kind of stood out that I'm not uber happy with this card about is um, it's at sorcery speed.
Yeah, I mean most card draws like cheap card draw is going to be at sorcery speed.
It's just weird that wants it wants a combat, but it's at sorcery speed. It just to me it seems a little strange.
Yeah, but you are definitely casting this card on your turn.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So at sorcery speed, I don't really think hurts it too much because you wouldn't cast it on somebody's end step or
That's true, I
yeah,
guess.
like you want the cards available in your main two. And the difference between on combat damage set or no, because you have to deal it. I don't really think it changes it too much being sorcery speed. I mean, Ancestral Recall, sorcery speed.
That's true.
Yeah. I also forgot that Yuriko was an assassin. She's a human ninja, so
Yeah,
yeah, so the free running, she would only get the commander part of the free running. I think there are quite a few ninjas in the deck that are assassins, but yeah, for some reason I thought she was an assassin.
now that you mention it, I think that may have been a big
Yeah,
of a big miss.
yeah. I thought she was an assassin ninja. She's a human ninja.
She should be an assassin ninja human.
Yep, that's true. Because then she would be a legendary creature, assassin ninja human, and that unhinged card that everybody uses in modern that for every subtype you get +1, she get +5. So she'd be a 6 8 for 3.
I mean, still the free running is something that she would play into,
Yeah, you use a lot of unblockable, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then
and you're switching her.
yeah, so you're hitting with your commander, and yeah, I think it doesn't matter too much, but I did think that she was an assassin. All right, next card. Oh man, this set is gonna break me. Caduceus, Staff of Hermes. Two generic and a white. Legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature gets +5/+5, and has indestructible, and has prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature. Equip white. Yeah, so this is pretty much a build your own Sarah's Ascendant, so,
Yeah,
but also prevent all damage and indestructible. Um, I think it's good. The fact that you have to spend 2 white to equip it, so it's 5 mana to play it and then immediately equip it, without any assistance of anything else, of course. But it would be 2 generic, 3 white. I don't really know if this has any place in CEDH. Like, I don't really see Winota running it. I don't really think any mono white decks would care too much about it. I just think it's cool. That's it. Like,
I do think that it's an interesting equipment. Um, you said Avison
uh,
or Sarah's
Stairs
Ascendant.
Ascendant, but yeah, I mean, it also does kind of. It's a one creature, somewhat Avacyn effect too.
Mm. Uh, I think that it would be in white, and you could just use them. Like if you wanted a Sarah's Ascendant, you could use it. Now it could be a consistency thing, and maybe there's certain cards that you want to have those extra effects.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, then again, you could put it on Sarah's Ascendant and have a 10-10.
Yeah, and my my first ever commander deck was a Knight Typal commander deck. And it's Mardu, red, white, black. I always forget the guy's name, but or girl's name. I'm not too sure. But the ability is you can equip stuff for free.
Mm.
And like a lot of the deck is just crazy equipments when they come out. I'm just like, all right, I'm putting it on a night. Let's go. um, so it'd be pretty good in that deck. Because that deck can also run the magnetic card that equips something to something right away for a
Mm.
red.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
I think it's a really fun casual card. Like I'm really glad that this was printed for casual. Will it see CDH play? No. I can pretty confidently say no. Like
I I do have that issue of turning off the CEDH mindset. So some of these cards I look at and I'm like, meh.
mm-hmm.
But um, yeah, this one seems like it would be fun tech to. I think it would be really funny to hit somebody with a 10-10 Sarah's Ascendant, just
Oh yeah,
personally.
yeah.
And then how are you going to get me below 30 if I'm hitting you for 10 every time? You really got to try.
Maybe I think the name of my knight was Sir Gwen. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, I put Air Gwen in, and those were Spider-Man shoes. There we go. So the casual knight is Sir Gwen, Hero of Ashvale. Three generic red, white, black. Vigilance Menace. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and lose a life. Equipment you control have equipped knight 0. So yeah, if I was still playing that casual deck, I would be extremely excited about this. But I'm not. So all right, next card. Loyal Inventor. Two generic blue creature, human, artificer, has vigilance. It's a 2/3. When Loyal Inventor enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, then shuffle. Put that card into your hand if you control an assassin. Otherwise, put that card on top of your library. So this itself is a human artificer, so like clearly it doesn't feed itself, which if it fed itself, it would be pretty broken. uh, but it is a fabricate on a creature that you could ETB over and over and over again. And it's blue. So if you put that card to uh, the top, you won't really have much trouble uh, actually getting it out onto the field or drawing it. This is cool with Crystal Skull because if you have a way to ETB the Loyal Inventor over and over, you could just go get all of your free rocks in your deck and play them all.
I see a pretty cool combo with maybe Displacer Kitten. Because wouldn't Displacer blink him and then he would enter again and then you could put it out. I mean, you could even blink.
Oh yeah,
Trying to think of a play here, but he's in blue and so is Displacer and he has an ETB effect that's a search. And then if that's on the field, maybe you could just.
yeah. You could use it with Teferi to draw that artifact, and then you would have the ability to start your Hullbreaker with that in hand.
That's interesting.
It's expensive to do that, but I mean it's cool. I don't really I don't know if anybody would really run this in CDH. Like Kennen wouldn't really because it's a human and Kennen couldn't put it out. I think Spellseeker Kennen likes better for that human slot. So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
it's cool. Side note about Kennen, he has like 13% conversion for the last 3 months. So
Really.
yeah, I think he's like the third highest deck played right now, but only has 13% conversion, which conversion is how often it's in the top 16 based on how much it's played. Which, I mean, I'm sure a lot of that is people just being like, oh yeah, Kennen's great. Like, I stomped my pod with it. And then they go to a tournament and then they're like, oh my God.
Well, compared to other CEDH decks, Kinnan could arguably be budget.
Yeah.
So I would say that um, compared to like Blue Farm or Sisay or something like that, you could say, well, I've got Kinnan for, you know, this amount and I get to play my pod and they're frustrated with me because this thing is awesome and it does win.
Yeah.
However, as far as Loyal Inventor, I don't think that even if I was in that scenario, I would be like, this is going in.
I'm curious if this was supposed to be a commander card because all the loyal cards so far have been if you control your commander, like loyal apprentice, loyal unicorn, etc.
Oh, yeah.
And then this one is just loyal inventor. Go get an artifact card. It's kind of a flavor miss there, but yeah, I think it's a cool card. It might see some play. Maybe like mono blue decks would want to run this.
You, since we all play, if you're listening to this, play cards, um,
Ooh.
assuming this is one of those pieces that you could see being part of a combo that would be really fun to kind of try to get going. But
This just hit in my head. Nadu. It goes and gets your Cheerio artifacts, the zero cost artifacts to start the Nadu combo, and in and itself can draw.
yeah,
So loyal inventor, find a way to target Nadu or anything, draw it, play it, start your Nadu combo.
also with Displacer
Mm,
would reset Nadu triggers.
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
So it's you put it out, you do it, you play an artifact, you blink it, you switch the artifact to another creature, you play another artifact, blink it, and you just continue. Like
yeah.
like I said, I feel like we're missing. I feel like we're seeing it, but we're not hitting the point with it. And I do believe that this is a combo piece.
Yeah, I think this pretty solidly earns its place in Nadu personally. Um, Anything else, it's strong. I mean, we've been talking about it, and it's an uncommon, so it's
Uh,
strong. Side note about Nadu too. Did you see a lot of people have been messing up the combo?
Really,
Yeah, so you can only target things twice. So people will start doing the combo and then not remember how many times they've triggered certain things.
really.
So it's been kind of a pain in the butt for judges. But what people have been doing is they've been bringing three tokens,
Mm,
and there's a artist. I'm just gonna shout out his name, Gold Saber. He's really cool. He's been doing a lot of Nadu art. So he has three tokens that this has been triggered 0 times. This has been triggered 1 time. This has been triggered 2 times. So that as you do them, you just kind of pile them in those three spots so you remember. Like,
you know, it it kind of reminds me, and this may not be a good connection anywhere, but Nadu kind of reminds me of Krakashima with the community.
mm-hmm.
And again, maybe I'm wrong with it, but I wonder if Nadu will get a community similar to Krakashima, because that would be
Yeah.
interesting to see a lot of like hive mind play, like you know what I mean?
I still think it's gonna fall off.
Think
We
so?
just had Cowtown and it didn't even make top four.
I guess.
I mean, and then like, oh, it didn't make top four. Like, yeah, whatever. I think it did make top 16. I think it's one of those decks like not really fair to say it's like Stella Lee because Stella Lee like came out, it was strong, and that fell off. Some people do still play it, but I mean, the answer is obvious: just keep Stella Lee off the board.
To to be fair though, Krakashima doesn't really hit top
Yeah,
places.
yeah,
Not against Krakashima because it's one of my favorite decks. However, it's very complicated,
mm-hmm.
and I think that a lot of that stops players.
That's the only deck that every time you bust it out, I go, okay, where's my stopwatch? Because that deck, given infinite time, will win. Like it's your win rate on infinite time is probably like 50%. However, closing it in 70 minutes win rate is probably closer to like 20%.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's hard to close it in time, but yeah, it could be a game where we play a 3 hour game and everybody's miserable and you win because you take a 40 minute turn.
To be fair, I don't want my friends to be miserable,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy playing it.
Yeah. And I enjoy playing it for 70 to 80 minutes. We went to Magic Con last year and we played some guys that they run a modern podcast, but they were there playing Commander, and it was funny because we played them and the guy was like, I understand if you want to, just start another game, and we were like, no, this is the first time we've ever seen it popped off, and he got out this app called Calculator to start doing percentages and stuff, and it was probably a 2 hour game and it was awesome to see. And it was to the point where, like, on their next podcast, they were just like, yeah, we played these two guys and they were great. They let me do all my combos. And then the guy was like, all right, well, what else did we do? And he was like, no, I want to talk about these guys some more. They were awesome.
And I was giddy the whole time he was doing it. I was like, I'm gonna make this deck.
What is the Dirtles
Uh,
podcast or
I think it's
something?
Eternal Dirtles.
Yeah, Eternal Dirtles. Yeah. Shout out to them.
Shout out
Yeah.
for sure. Those were really fun guys to play.
Let's collab next MagicCon.
Um, anyway, back
Yeah.
to this card.
Yeah, really good card. Good for Nadu.
I
Next.
think it's Nadu.
Yeah. Assassin Initiate. Man, for all of the words for me mess up, assassin in the Assassin's Creed.
That's fair.
One black creature, human assassin. It's a 1/1. One. It has the ability of one generic assassin. Oh my god, assassin initiate gains your choice of flying, death touch, or lifelink until end of turn.
So, this is probably by far a vanilla card in the set. However, because I don't even think it's rare. It's not even rare.
No, uncommon.
However, I really these low cost swingers like beater cards have a special place in my heart, and the fact that you can just pay essentially like three and get three different abilities for a one drop creature is just kind of cool. I don't have any big combos for that, but I do think it's pretty fun.
It sucks. It dies to Bowmaster. It's a 1/1. There's a blue card
Not
that's a 1/2 that has flying, but
so no, you're not just gonna skip over that. Not if I have an extra mana and make it indestructible. Is it that?
how? It's flying, death
Oh,
touch, or lifelink.
damn it. Okay, maybe so.
Um, I want to look up something real quick. So if you could talk about the card for me, like 20 more seconds.
Oh yeah, no problem. I could talk about this card for a while. First off, it's unfortunate that it's not in standard or something like that because that's really what you want in one of those formats where you have 20 life because you get a free swing.
Mm-hmm.
But
And it is an assassin. It turns on all of your free running. So what I wanted to look up, and I was pretty sure that this was the case, and I did confirm it. Lifelink stacks. So if you have an infinite mana outlet, you have infinite life.
that would, you know what? That would be a really cheeky way to get.
Yeah. Because you don't even care if it connects with a player. You
Yeah, you
just
just
be
swing
like,
at it.
all right, well, I swing. And then they'd be like, cool, blockers declared. On blockers declared, I'm going to generate infinite colorless mana, and I will give this infinite life link, which stacks. So I have infinite health now.
And then I'm gonna play Adnos.
Yeah. I think it's cool just for that. Maybe we'll see it in Crick because of that. Because you could, I mean, I don't really think Crick needs help with lifelink because usually
Not
you're
really.
doing like Gary loops.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of the cards I looked at and I was like, I like this. Did I think that it was gonna be an end all be all to something? Not really. But I mean, I play cards to have fun too.
Yeah. So summary can give you infinite lifelink, but sucks because it dies to Bowmaster.
I
So
don't know. Honestly, don't know where I read indestructible in there, and I was like, I'll just make it indestructible.
I mean, initiate starts with an I and an N.
That might have been it.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm going with.
I do like that it's not a limit. So yeah, like you said, you can give it, you know, one of each, or you could give it a million lifelink.
I didn't think the infinite life link. That makes it funnier to me, especially if you're looking for a way to have more life in your assassin deck because this is going to be an assassin set. So,
It's also in black, so all of those decks that are like when you gain life, everybody loses
oh,
one. I don't think so. I don't think the lifelink triggers separately, so I don't think you gain a million instances of one. I think you just gain a
just gain it.
million.
I think so.
If you guys are a better rules lawyer than me, please let me know. But yeah, I mean, you could end the game with this thing if you have
you
okay, maybe it's good.
you know they had another card that was kind of comes to mind too as being one of those kind of hidden ones that was really good in some of the 20 life formats. But is it something sleeper? You know what I'm talking about?
Sleeper agent?
Sleeper agent.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that one was cool too. But
Yeah. I mean, maybe this one goes in Opnics list too because it does a damage and you can give it
that's true.
evasion where you can be like, all right, well, it's death touch flying. You can block it with Tivit if you want. Otherwise, I'm gonna exile the top card.
I don't know how you would get infinite mana right now off top in red black. However, it doesn't make it. If you wanted to make infinite lifelink with it, it would still be only one damage, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. Okay. Way cooler than I thought. uh oh man. Ezio, Auditor de
oh,
Furines.
you're gonna have some Assassin's Creed guys be mad at you.
Oh, this set's hard. Like,
This is one of the main characters in this.
well, I know Ezio. Ezio?
They're gonna be mad. You know what?
How do you say
Oh man, you.
it?
I listened yesterday to a buddy at the local game store say this name like 4 times, um, and I'm gonna butcher it as well. So now you can be mad at both of us. Ezio?
uh, yeah, if you're mad, please leave a comment because that'll help us. Yeah, I'm just Ezio Artur de Firenze. He is a generic black, so 2 legendary creature, human assassin, 3/2. Menace. Assassin spells you have cost free running 2. You may cast a spell for its free running cost if you deal combat damage to a player this turn with an assassin or a commander, which is both. Whenever Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you may pay Wooburg, so all 5 colors. If that player has 10 or less life, when you do, that player loses the game.
Ezio.
Ezio. Ezio. Easy. There's already a black blue assassin that if an assassin deals combat damage and kills a player, all the other players die and you win.
That's funny.
I don't think this counts because his effect kills them. So that might be another card that people have to help us out in the comments. But mostly I have him here because he's a 2 mana commander that you can build a rainbow deck, a Wooburg deck around,
And has menace.
and has menace, and also is assassin typeable. So
Yeah. Um, it has a lot on the card, to be honest. I
yeah,
do think that this is going to be one of those cards that you're a big Assassin's Creed fan, and
hmm,
now this is going to be your commander.
yeah,
Like, this is it. And you're going to build this crazy Assassin's Creed deck with all of the flavor of it, and he's gonna provide that, I think. So, do I think he'll break CEDH or anything format, really. No, but I think that there'll be some really cool decks with him.
Honestly, just the fact that it's a 3/2 and it's a Wooburg commander, I could see people building it. I'm not aware of any crazy assassin combos. Um, but like Massacre Girl, I believe, is an assassin. Um, I don't think that there's anything crazy in CDH format that if you cast it for 2 black, it would be broken. Um, However, Wooburg,
Wo-
Tiny Commander, 3/2 Menace, like,
Wooburg, Tiny Commander, Assassin's Creed. Um, he's also, like I said, he's one of the main characters, and I think why not?
yeah. I mean, CDH, if you're less than 10 life, you've lost the game anyway. I'm not going to pay 5 colored mana to make you lose. But yeah, I think I think that last effect might just be mostly ignored, but I would not be surprised if I saw somebody try to make a CDH deck with this. What it would do, I don't know. Is it better than Najila? No, but it has potential, so I wanted to put it on.
I think that it would be really cool to hit somebody for 3 and then assassinate them.
Yeah.
Like
And then if it combos with that assassin, that let me look that up, honestly.
I do think personally he's got a lot of flavor for the set. Um, I see that being kind of cool to make a deck around assassins.
Oh, even better. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it'd be really cool to make a deck around assassins. Um, I don't really play a lot of casual because I still have that CEDH mindset, and it kind of what's all of the local game friends are gonna be like, "You're just CEDH in this now,"
Mhm.
but I think it's funny looking and a good time, honestly.
So the card that I was mentioning before was Ramses Assassin Lord. He's 2 generic blue black, legendary creature, human assassin. Death touch. Other assassins you control get +1/+1. Whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you controlled, you win the game. So you could swing, hit somebody with Ezio, bring them to 10 or less life, pay 5, win the game. If you have both. So it's not a it's a 2 7 11 mana combo where you have to bring somebody to 10 or less life and kill them. However, it's really cool.
Again, it's one of those things where you feel like Magic has a really good way of making you feel like you're kind of playing whatever game they've made. Like as far like bringing that game into a card game
Hmm.
type of thing. So you kill the entire table now. That would just be it would be talked about. You would talk about that for a while.
Yeah, I usually don't get inspiration where I'm like I want to build a casual deck, but that combo seems awesome. I hope people figure out a way to do it in CDH. I don't think so, but that sounds like a lot of fun.
I would if I was sitting at a CEDH table in a tournament and I seen this deck, I would be over the moon. I'd be like, "Holy, that is awesome."
Maybe you build it
And try it.
like a stack. I don't know. Uh, there's actually a lot of vampire assassins too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know how playable it would be, but I'm kind of like looking at a list of assassins, and there's a lot of really cool vampire assassins that I could see going. It's mostly Demir colors, but still looks fun.
I do think that the simple fact that you're slightly building a deck in your head at the moment
Yeah.
makes this card good.
Oh, Queen Marchesa is assassin too. She has Death Touch Haste, and whenever she enters the battlefield, you become the monarch.
I may see this deck a lot sooner than I thought.
I think the Golgari Planeswalker puts out assassins that if they hit you win the game.
Vraska?
Vraska from
I
Ravnica.
love Vraska.
Yeah, yeah.
She is one of my pet cards. Like I don't think that she's good. However, she's so cool. Like
If I build this deck, I'll put the Moxfield deck in the comments.
oh man, that'd be cool. And if you're watching this and you're a big fan and you've seen this card and you were like, I know what I'm doing, put it in there. I would love
Yeah.
to see it.
I mean, even if you build the casual version, like you're like, this is not CDH. However, this sounds like a lot of fun. Like, drop it in the comments, please. All right, next card. We're an hour in. It was funny because I was just like, I don't really think I'm too excited about Assassin's Creed, and I'm like, these are cool.
Ooh.
Hookblade Veteran. 1 blue. Creature, human assassin. It's a 1/2. Doesn't die to Bowmasters. As long as it's your turn, Hookblade Veteran has flying.
I would pay one and make it indestructible personally.
Yeah. If I pay one and make it indestructible, I would gladly play that one.
Can't believe I said that.
This is, I mean, I feel like Yuriko has much better 1-drop, unblockable options. However, it's an assassin and it's a 1/2 flyer, so I'm not sure if Yuriko would run this. Maybe you already have the max amount of 1-cost high evasive drops, but it's a card.
This is a common, first off, right?
Yeah.
And it hits all of the boxes for me with this 1 drop, 1/2, so you can't just kill it, and it's flying on your turn. Like what else could you need? Like this is great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too sure how many decks that are blue care about getting through other than Yuriko, but I mean it's a good card. I mean maybe we see it in, I don't even know if this set is modern legal. Maybe it's pioneer
I
legal.
don't think it's legal in quite a few of the 20 life things. However, 20 life formats, but I do feel that these will always have a place just because they're quick, they swing in, you get things. I don't know. I like it.
I'm gonna look up the legality because that's probably important. So it is legal in modern, legacy, vintage, commander, and oathbreaker. So it's not even legal in pioneer,
Really.
which is weird because a lot of the commander Modern Horizons commander cards were commander and pioneer only. So
Hmm.
yeah, not sure.
It is a common. What about Popper? Is that in there or no?
Yeah, it would be legal in
I
Pauper.
figured like maybe that's
Oh yeah, maybe a good Pauper card.
maybe just one you put in, like any of the 1 drop, non-rare quick hitters are always they seem like they should be good in something, and I like them.
Yeah. All right. Um, Searcher. Oh my God. Fiery Jotun. That is in another language, so I get a pass on that. It's a 3 red legendary creature, giant god warrior. It's a 5/5, has trample. Whenever you cast a historic spell, Surtur deals 3 damage to any target. And as a reminder, historic is artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. The reason that I thought this was cool is there is a card from Kaldheim called Calamity Bearer, that just says is it's 4 mana. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. Um, you could stack a lot of double effects on this card and maybe kill everybody real quick. I think it's pretty good. It's not one, so it's not something that Obnixis would really want, but if you're trying to kill everybody, 3 is much better than 1. We talked about Underworld Breach combos where you're doing Lion's Eye over and over. Could kill the table, maybe. It'd be from full health 14 times 3. So let's do some math here. It would be 42 cards. So you couldn't do it with a full deck with Underworld Breach because you would have to exile 3 each time.
So what I seen when I looked at this card is good tech if you're trying to do your Underworld Breach and somebody has a Draneth out.
Mm-hmm.
So I can play it, use Draneth, or play it, play Lion's Eye Diamond, kill Draneth, then start. Now you're talking 7 mana to start your Underworld Breach, which is not ideal. However, a way to drop off a stacks piece that really stops you, that's prominent, like Draneth Magistrate, because Draneth's a 1/3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could just pop him. He's just gone.
Yeah, and it gives your Hullbreaker horror loops some finality because it's like, well, yeah, I can keep casting this 0 drop artifact over and over. It doesn't do anything, which if he's on the field, it does a lot. Yeah.
Yes, now you are gonna die.
Yeah, I played a polymorph deck that was Rogsai Thrasios for or Rograth Thrasios for quite a bit. I couldn't run it in that deck because it's a creature.
This is prime example of maybe too generic, close to being broke.
Yeah.
Like if this is not bad, and there probably somewhere is going to be good tech to use with this. You mentioned Hullbreaker for sure. I could see that.
Mm.
I do like the option. Like maybe I'm setting up for an Underworld Breach. The only problem with using this to tech against Draneth Magistrate is in that one instance it would be great, but in general play, I don't know if I would use it.
Yeah, I mean 5 to get rid of Drath Magistrate, you could just desynchronization for 4 and send everything back. I think, I mean, if you're going infinite and you're doing infinite damage, it doesn't really matter if it's 3 or if it's 1. So I think that maybe we'll see this in some mono red, just kill the table decks. 5 is pretty costly, but a 5/5 body with trample is pretty cool. I don't know if we're gonna see any like with him as the helm of the commander. I mean,
No, I don't see that.
yeah, I mean, you could play him and then have a whole bunch of like Cheerio equipment and just drop the table. But I mean, again, you're gonna have to play 43
Yeah.
cards if you're not looping them. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's another one of those like I want to remember that this exists, but I don't really think it's gonna go anywhere.
Also, the art on this, I like it personally. I
Yeah,
think that it's just kind of cool. It's got a guy with a flaming sword, or a sword with like flames in the background. It's kind of dark. I like
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's the epitome of mono red burn. Like
Vikingish.
yeah, and it is a god, so it is another god typal prismatic bridge, possibly. This one is going to be pretty quick. So this is the one that it's Alexios Demos of Cosmos. It's the one that I was the most excited for whenever I saw the set. Um, it is a 3 generic red legendary creature, human berserker, trample. Uh, Alexios attacks each combat if able, can't be sacrificed, and can't attack its owner. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player gains control of Alexios, untaps it, puts a 1/1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. It's a 4/4. So it's Slicer. It's uncommon Slicer. So now people can build a Pauper deck,
That's
a
slicers.
Slicer Pauper deck. I think that's really cool. The fact that it's not goaded, that it just can't attack its owner, is better than Slicer because Slicer gets to the point whenever there's a 1v1 that you're just like, oh no, I gave them Slicer. I have to homeward path. Like I have to know what to do with my own Slicer.
Slicer causes debate against the Slicer owner.
Oh, it's prisoner's dilemma in a card. Yeah.
You're just like, you know what? We all need to take this player out, or Slicer off the table. You know, hit me so I you don't kill this person, and then you hit this person, so that it's really fun in debating.
Yeah.
I I like what Slicer brings to the game.
I think every pod should have a Slicer deck in it at some point.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because I just think it makes everybody's politics level up. It's a good interaction check to where if you can't deal with Slicer and Slicer just runs the table, then you haven't really. Everybody has failed, know, uh, either in politics or interaction. I'm just pretty excited that I can build a Popper Slicer deck. Also, I'm probably gonna just put him in Slicer
Have
as a
to.
backup commander, where it's like, all right, you guys, because routinely you guys will remove Slicer so many times that he has like 8 commander attacks on him, and I still do get him out. But if I could have a backup of just like, I'll just kill you guys normally. I do like that it has trample, so you don't have to worry about those little teeny tiny blockers. I know that Slicer, my build at least, has a lot of AoE damage to deal with a lot of those tiny things. This one doesn't care. And then it's a 4/4 when you get them out. You move them over to someone else. It's a 5/5. It's a 6/6. It's a 7/7. Uh, it comes back to you as a 7/7. So
The and see, you had mentioned that you like that it's not goaded. I think that that's a hindrance on it. I think that it should be goaded, just personally, because as a player, I can be like, well, you gave it to me. I don't really care to swing.
it
It,
attacks each combat if able though.
oh,
So it's all of everything that go everything that goaded forces, but none of the drawbacks for the owner.
really?
Yeah. So goaded is it has to attack each combat, and the wording is like it has to attack another player other than its owner if
If
able.
able,
Yeah.
okay.
So this one is has to attack if able, can't be sacrificed, and can attack its owner.
So saying that, reading the card explains the
Yeah,
card. I
yeah.
kind of messed up, but yeah, okay, that changes it a little bit. I see that. I see the goodness in it, I guess.
Yeah, and then like after you play it, they get it on their upkeep. It's seen in upkeep, so it loses summoning
Mm,
sickness.
and you're
So
swinging.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. I've seen a couple people say that it's gonna replace Slicer.
I don't see that.
I don't see it. Trample is huge. I will say that is correct, but I mean for the most part, if you're playing Slicer, you're trying to clear the table all the time, and you're wanting to clear out all the Drath magistrates and things that would stop you know you from getting Slicer. So you're always going to have to tech in burn spells for creatures, and I don't think the trample makes a huge difference. And if it did, I would just have trample equipment and Slicer.
I don't see trample being better than double strike, personally. I do think that yes, you can block things, but um, I mean double strike. The problem with Slicer is that it could win a table if everything hits correctly in a few turns.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter personally if it's able to go over. You know what I mean?
I mean, the idea with Slicer is you get him out so quickly on his car side, and then you get him out so fast that no one has creatures anyway.
And then you just swing out.
And
Yeah.
then you swing, you connect, and because you connected, he transforms away from living metal. Is double strike, and then you pass him.
Like I said, I don't think that the trample is decent and it does make this card good, but I don't think that it overpowers Slicer.
Mhm.
And maybe that's just because I am terrified of Slicer personally. When he's on the table, my thoughts are it needs to die. The player that's playing it needs to either have so much commander tax that he can't keep casting, or they can't keep casting it, or um, just remove them from the table.
We went to a tournament that was it was a CDH tournament with prizing, but it was more of a like local casual ish tournament. And we have a friend that plays Winota, and there was a slicer at the table, and that slicer player handed slicer to Winota with no Winota out, and he was just like, "Heck yes!" And the table was just like,
Why?
we don't know who's a bigger problem, Winota with a slicer every turn or actual slicer. Like, I think he won the Winota player just because they were like, there are two giant threats and there is only one we can really deal with right now.
That's one of those instances where you start to look at color combination. You're like, are you in blue or white or anything that can kill
Yeah.
or remove
But it was also like normally you have to get all three players to go, all right, can we agree that this is a problem? Let's pile on Slicer. But then you had one player at the table that was like, he's not a problem. He's my friend.
I like this.
Yeah.
He hits twice.
So it was basically two 1v1s that were going on. Yeah.
That sounds funny to watch, but miserable to play. I would be very scared of that pod.
This is a human. Is this a Winota card? You could get it on the flip and you could hit with it and then you could pass it around.
And it,
Did they just put Winota a slicer Winota?
if you are a Winota player and you think that this is going to be funny tech, please put it in there because I would wonder if this is going to see play in Winota. I think that Winota is so close to being a strong CEDH deck, like pretty close.
It was interesting because when Winota came out, it was Season of Winota. She was the best deck. And then all of a sudden people just teched for her and she just fell off. And you see a Winota at every tournament you go to. And that Winota player is always like they haven't played for a couple years or they're just somebody that really likes Winota. And there's definitely Winota pilots that you're just like, my god, if you were playing another deck I'd be very scared. But I would really like to see a Winota and be like, oh no, like
Uh,
could you imagine though, Winota flips, you have two, one of them is this, one of them is Blade Historian. So it's just like everything has double strike, lifelink, and then this guy specifically has trample, and I'm gonna pass him and he's gonna get bigger. Like,
I wonder, yeah, put it in the comments if this is something you were looking at and you're like, I'm glad they showed this one because this is going directly in Winota.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited for a. I might just for fun build this as my casual deck that everybody wants me to play, and it be my popper commander deck too, and everybody, no one can complain because it's a popper deck.
It's Popper. There's no good cards in
Yeah,
Popper, right?
you guys don't have the restriction of being a popper deck, like boo-hoo. All
That's
right,
funny.
overpowering. I'm messing up every single one. Overpowering attack. 3 generic, red, red, sorcery. It has free running, 2 generic, red. You may cast a spell for its free running cost if you deal combat damage to a player this turn with an assassin or a commander. Untap all creatures you control that attacked this turn. If it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase.
So it's funny that we put two cards that could possibly go into Winota together.
Yeah,
But this one, Winota, maybe.
yeah. Because I think when they come in tapped and attacking, they did attack that turn. You don't get like the declare attack triggers, but you could untap them and then go again. I mean, another maybe Paco Halden card. I don't really think I would want to run it in Slicer. I've seen a couple people say that this is a Najila card, but Najila mostly just wants infinite combats through Wooburg to just finish the table off. And like, yeah, it is good to attack with Najila and get double the warriors, but I mean, for the most part, if you attack with Najila, people are really trying to stop Najila. So there might be that one player that just, wasn't didn't mulligan right, and they left open their creatures, and they kind of do the table in. But I mean, for the most part, Najila, she doesn't really want two attacks. She wants the ability to Derevi out and get a bunch of attacks, or make infinite treasures with things connecting and stuff like that.
I don't think it's necessarily bad either. Like I don't think that Najila would be like, this is terrible. I think that it's more not optimal. I think that, maybe I, now I guess maybe we just talked about Winota, but I think that Winota would like this a little better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So my assessment of overpowering attack, I'm not gonna say it's bad for Najila, but it is a card that with Najila, everybody's already looking at you and they're just like, F Najila, like I'm gonna kill her. And if you as a Najila player play overpowering attack and then you don't close the game out, you're dead. Like the entire table is gonna be like, I already didn't like Najila. Najila got two combats, and then it's just like, yeah, but I'm just trying to build up my army. Like, yeah, eventually I might win, but like, there's a Rogsai here.
Oh yeah, you
Like,
couldn't politic too much with it.
yeah, Najila is a deck that I completely stopped playing because so many people were just like, I don't care if I win. I just don't want Najila to win. I will burn every card to stop her from attacking. And then I would be like, okay, pass. And then they'd go their turn. They exhausted themselves. They would pass. And then the next person would be like, yeah, I'm really glad you burned your interaction on stopping Najila from making three warriors. So I'm going to win now.
I'm really glad that Najila didn't win,
Yeah.
so I could have a turn.
Yeah. And like if I'm about to win with Najila and somebody stops me, fair. Completely fair. But a lot of people would just be like, "Oh, I know that if she makes three warriors, the game's over." It's like not this turn. Let me do this.
Yeah,
It's like this guy's about to win. Yeah, but I mean, extra combats are good, especially whenever they're three, and you want an extra combat if you connect with creatures, and it gets cheaper when you connect with creatures. So I think it's really cool.
yeah, I like the free running part about it for sure. Again, I don't think it's overpowering. I do think that it's interesting.
Yeah. Smoke bomb, three generic mana. It is an artifact. It has flash. All creatures have shroud. They can't be the targets of spell or abilities. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice smoke bomb. When you do, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. I think it's cool. So it's three generic for flash. All creatures have shroud. I'm not really gonna say that this is dress down, but dress down you have to remove at the end of the turn. This is just you give everything shroud. As a reminder, shroud is they can't be targets of spell or abilities. Period. So hexproof is your opponents can't target your creatures. Shroud is you and your opponents can't target. So like let's say somebody's about to go into a displacer loop. You're just like smoke bomb. You can't target any of your creatures.
Yeah, I think that it's good tech. I do think that Shroud instead of Hexproof could be a downside on this. But again, it's an uncommon,
Yeah.
which is saying something, and it's a kind of a trick. You can flash it out, and then also it kind of it's a gift that keeps giving because the next uh on your upkeep you can sacrifice it and then do something as well.
Yeah. And
And
you do have to at the beginning of your upkeep sacrifice smoke bomb. So you don't get to just be like, no, I like everything having shroud.
yeah, I do think that also it's a three artifact that would go to the graveyard, which could downgrade the cost for the first card we talked about as well.
Yeah. And like, other thing about smoke bomb is if someone starts a dockside loop, you can just be like, well, it dockside loop on field. It doesn't give things in graveyard shroud, but like at some point they do have to sacrifice. But I do think I don't know if sacrifice is sacrifice target creature. Sacrifice might get around it, but like let's say someone has dockside out and they snap, you just play smoke bomb and then the snap fizzles.
I don't know what's happening to me today because I heard you say it 3 times, but this is also good tech for everyone. So like if something's happening,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a Nadu loop,
Yeah,
you could use it because it's all
yeah.
like normally these effects are my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that back on hexproof. Well, I take that back on hexproof. I think that shroud can be very disrupting to your opponents.
Yeah. And the thing I like about it is you can play it defensively. So, like,
Oh, for sure.
let's say, for example, I put this card in Rocco. You try to swords my Rocco. I can play Smoke Bomb. And then my stuff is safe. And then I know no one can interact by targeting their own creatures till my next turn.
Mm,
So I like the flexibility of it. I like that it's surprisingly disruptive. So like let's say someone I can't really think of a good CDH example, but if someone plays a lot of spells targeting their creature and they're trying to get like infinite attack and toughness to go into combat, they can stack all of that stuff on the stack and then in response you can smoke bomb and all of that stuff fizzles.
um,
So like snap, if you cast it on dockside, I could play smoke bomb. You would no longer get the tap 2 lands because it fizzled.
mm. I really think that this card here is probably my favorite. Just reading it out of all of the cards that have been here, and it's an
Yeah,
uncommon,
yeah.
just because it seems not good at first, but this is disrupting.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is stop some wins and do some things until your upkeep. I initially thought it was more of I'm going to protect my stuff. I no longer think that. I think
Yeah.
that now it's whatever you're trying to do, you can't do.
It's an aggressive card that has flexibility to where if you have to burn it on your own stuff, you can.
Mm,
It's definitely not as good as Dress Down. Number one, Dress Down draws you a card and is 1 less mana. And then also Dress Down stops Dockside ETBs and Thassa's ETBs, which this doesn't do.
do you see this possibly being a Yuriko card? Because I think that it's interesting. Like I like the entire thought process and kind of I like those cards where I'm like looking at my hand and being like, what can I do here? And
Mm-hmm.
then this is different tech that you wouldn't normally see. I like it. I
Yeah.
like this.
I mean, honestly, when I see it, I think Yuriko would like it, but I don't really think Yuriko cares too much about the shroud. I really like it in Najila because a lot of the problem that I have with Najila is not being able to connect. So for me to be able to keep all of my tokens safe, unless it's like, um, non targeting effects or like Cyclonic Rift or stuff like that. But someone could target my Najila and be like, hey, we need to deal with Najila. And then the person that's right before you is like, don't worry, I got it. They play something, you smoke bomb. Then all of a sudden, for your entire turn, Najila can't be blocked, so she'll get through. So you no longer have to worry about her dying during combat. So you can very aggressively swing with everything and double all of your warriors. I could see Tivit running it too, just being like, all right, well, now Tivit will get through for sure. It's only this turn, so if you have an infinite turns, it's only the first turn with Tivit. But I mean, Tivit getting
You
through once is
you
make or
also
break.
yeah, you also think personally like it's gonna be this is a trick. This isn't gonna be something somebody sees happening. This is gonna be I'm gonna flash this out.
Hmm.
Now we're at this position.
Yeah.
And personally, Tivit would be Tivit. This would be a fun Tivit card. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it would be cool.
I mean, you want to run a lot of artifacts in Tivit. I mean, it goes away at the beginning of your upkeep, so I mean, it doesn't really count towards everything. Um, I like cards that play like instants but aren't instants because you can't flusterstorm this thing.
So
You can't swan song this thing.
yeah, what about so with Tivit? It has the pay. You have to pay mana. I can't think of the name of it right now, and it's bad because I played Tivit,
Yeah.
but um, could you make the person pay the mana and then shroud it? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people try to target Tivit. Like you're gonna try to swords to plowshare Tivit or something off of the board or
Yeah, it goes on the stack. So you're talking about ward.
ward.
Yeah.
I
So the
can't believe I
ward
didn't think about
cost.
that.
So they cast it. Ward goes on the stack. They have to decide if they want to pay the ward cost. You let them pay it. Priority goes around. Then after they pay it, you can smoke bomb.
That's
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah. I like things that are multi-purpose. They're defensive and aggressive. I mean, 3 mana to keep your stuff safe. Like people don't even run Legolas in green decks because they're like, well, one mana instant that just keeps my stuff safe for a turn. Eh. This keeps your stuff safe till your next turn, so it kind of locks everything down, unless they cyclonic rift or toxic deluge or something like that.
I feel that, but it also disrupts your opponents because I could use this defensively if you're trying to Nadu or displacer loop or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Well, also like, you know, dockside loops. Somebody just goes, oh, let's say I have a dockside out. Oh, it wouldn't stop clones that don't target because they enter as a copy.
Yeah,
But like, let's say somebody's trying to meal dockside or Sabretooth dockside. They would pay the mana, and then you go ability on the stack, respond with smoke bomb, fizzle. Yeah,
I it amazes me because in some of our reviews we use not rares, and this
hmm
is one of those ones that's like this
we
has got interesting tech.
we've got several in this set that are just uncommon. Yeah,
It's like that looks fun. There's a lot of fun interaction with this card.
yeah. I think this card is really good. Uh, the 3 is kind of expensive. I definitely see CDH decks running them, but I think they need to be pretty specific CDH decks, and it might cost itself out to where having a card that all it does is stop your opponents for 3 is not great. Like, yeah, you could smoke bomb a Nadu, and everybody be like, "Oh yeah, thanks," and then Nadu pass, and then you just lose the game because you don't have any counters.
Mm.
So it's definitely something you need to use with caution, but it stops way more things than you would think, and also keeps your stuff safe. With flash.
That's why I said Yuriko because the only downside I seen with this was the mana cost.
Mhm,
Like if this was a one or a two, I'd be like this is gonna get used somewhere.
mhm.
But like this, like as a three generic, it's a little high.
Yeah,
I think it wouldn't be a bad Yuriko top. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You're like, I'm gonna hit everybody for three. That's cool, and I have this tech.
yeah.
That
I mean,
interesting.
maybe Elsha the Infinite runs it too, just
Mm.
because I know that care or like Narset cares about getting through likes artifacts. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. If you pull this card and you want to play CDH, just set it aside.
Also, I am really gonna be looking for any comments on this one. So
Yeah,
if you're like this you didn't even say, and this is where it's awesome at.
yeah.
Yes.
There's also that mono blue deck that cares about artifacts. So someone left a comment that I forgot the mermaid's name, and I forgot it again. So, but there's that Island Walk merfolk that cares about stealing artifacts from your opponents that I would think this is good into.
The interesting card for sure.
Yep. It's almost this. I think this is going to be almost 2 hour video. Abstergo Entertainment, Legendary Land. So first off, Legendary Land, Sisay cares about legendaries. A lot of things care about legendaries in the form of lands. So tap, add a colorless, one colorless, or one generic. Add 1 mana of any color. 3 generic, exile, return up to 1 target historic card from your graveyard to your hand, then exile all graveyards. This is great tech for Underworld Breach or anything that uses a graveyard like Crick. It's a land, so the ability does go on the stack, but I mean, what's somebody gonna do? Destroy your land? Like like you don't really see much land destruction. Now someone might Blood Moon it so that you don't get the ability anymore, but this is going to put a nail in the coffin for quite a few decks that like to play from the graveyard. I just don't think very many people will care to run it outside of Sisay,
Specifics, yeah.
and even Sisay, meh.
Yeah, maybe.
Like it
I
is cool that you can pay 2, and get 1 mana of any color. So your Soul Ring is now tap, get a colorless, get a color with this land out. People are pretty excited about it. I don't see it. I do think that stopping Underworld Breach combos is cool, but again, it's one of those things where you're gonna pay 4 mana and go down a land to stop a blue farm player from winning, and then they'll pass and someone else will win. So
I mean, it's hard to not have this on the list though,
yeah.
too, because it's a legendary land, taps for any color, has the ability to tap for a color, and then it also has
Well, taps for colorless can tap for any color as a filter.
oh
If
yeah,
it could just
taps.
tap for any color, that'd be
I'm
insane. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I meant to say tap for it's not even a generic. That's
Yeah,
a
it's the waste symbol.
colorless.
Yeah.
So taps for colorless can pay one generic to have it filter a mana to tap for um a colored mana, and then it also has the option of exiling a graveyard. That
All graveyards.
oh,
Like,
all
yeah,
graveyard.
yeah.
I mean, that might be a bad thing too. Maybe I
Hmm.
don't want certain things.
If you're running that effect, you don't really care. Like, I was running Rest in Peace for quite a while in Timna Kodama. Um, not very many decks care about their graveyards other than, like, in Rocco, I only care about my graveyard literally the turn that I am interacting with it. Otherwise, everything can go away.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that even though in general this may not be top notch, I do think that it checks a lot of boxes that make a decent land.
Yeah. Like, if you're running Rest in Peace, you get an extra card in your deck now because you can take Rest in Peace out, put this land in, and now you have a land that does exactly what you're doing with Rest in Peace. So you can put something else in.
Mm,
So freeing up slots in a deck is the exciting part of this, but it is 4. So
yeah.
cool. And I believe this is our last card. Yeah, it is. Tax Collector. So this one I'm pretty excited about. One generic white creature, human advisor. When Collector enters the battlefield, choose one. Until your next turn, spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast. Um, or you can detain target creature and opponent controls. Until your next turn, that creature can attack or block and its activated abilities can't be activated. Um, so whenever I see ETBs, I think about, oh, you can recur this a whole bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
So detaining a Sisei is great. And it's until your next turn too.
Or, you have a player intuition
Yeah,
and you know that, it's going to be
a
um,
big storm.
a
Yeah,
big storm turn. It's going to be a breach. I think that you can't stop this once it's there. Like, because it's not, even if you remove it, I think that the effect is still there.
yeah.
It's not an on, you know,
So the ETB goes on the stack, but once it resolves, it's a static effect that
mm,
just is a new rule on the game until it comes back to your turn. You know, making everything cost one more to cast is really good. If you can flicker it, you could lock your
3 or 4.
opponents out of the game.
Do this 3 times.
Yeah. It's
That's
like,
fun.
okay, well, I have the ability. Let's say I have oh, let's say I'm starting up a kitten combo, displacer kitten. Blah 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 blah. All right, no one can interact with me because it costs 20 to interact with me. Cool. Oh, you guys stopped me some other way with a Boseiju or something. All right, I pass. Every spell that you cast costs 20. Oh, it's my turn again. Cool. I'm gonna try again.
I'm
Like,
gonna blink it again.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's not, well, I'm gonna remove tax collector.
Hmm.
That cool. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Once it comes out, I don't care. It's also a 2/2, so there is that bear that came out in Murders of Karlov that cares about 2/2s. So I don't know if it's good for that deck. I think I might run it in Rocco just because having that kind of Staxy interaction where it's like, no, this is happening. Like you cannot remove tax collector and stop this. Like it costs this much.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I passed to Sisei, and Sisei's like, well, I don't cast anything. Boom, boom, boom.
No, I'm just gonna go. Thank
But
you.
yeah, you do have that detain target creature and opponent controls. My only concern with this is until your next turn, spells your opponent's cast cost one more to cast. If you don't win that turn, everybody else at the table is just like, counter spells cost one more to stop me.
Yeah.
Like, which you do have to pay that to start your combo, but there's a world where you play this and you think that you're setting up your next turn, and then somebody's just like, all right, Thassa's for 3, demonic for 2, win. Oh
Mm,
no, everyone count on their free spells. So I would definitely say, like, if you're in a position where you're like, I need to stop this dude, is anybody relying on free spells to stop anybody? Because I'm gonna do this.
yeah.
And like if they tell you yeah, at least you have that information. You can just say like, well, this is gonna be more effective to stop them than your one counter spell, so I'm gonna do it anyway. But I wouldn't just drop tax collector and then just be like, everybody figure it out. Unless you're using the detain on like a Sisei or something like that, then that's valid. Or a Kenrith, like really any 5-color commander. Like
Yeah, that would pay. Definitely. I think that this is one of those hidden gems.
yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be top notch enough to be in some of the CEDH decks. I do think that if you're running a Staxy deck, this is an option, which is
Hmm.
honestly kind of terrifying. Like,
Yeah. I like that it doesn't hinder your opponents too much to where your opponents go, oh, I have to counter this. But if somebody is about to win, they're just like, well, poop. I have to burn my force of will on a tax collector if I want to win,
mm,
So it's one of those cards that like when you play it, not everybody at the table goes, "Oh, I need to stop this."
yeah. It
Unless the person's about to win. And also, there is a world where you play it You turn off all free spells, and then you're like, okay, well, it resolved. Cool, now I'm gonna win.
I do think it's going to be hard to politic, and you may not see a lot of politics to stop it
Hmm.
because if I'm setting up an underworld breach move, you know what I mean? It's going to be hard for me to be like, "Hey table, we need to stop this so I can play my underworld
Yeah, yeah.
breach next turn." And it's one doesn't sound crazy, but one on an underworld breach
Hmm.
combo
I
hurts.
mean, one on a dockside loop, one on, yeah. It
And that's if it's just one
yeah,
because this is like game game has changed once it hits.
yeah,
Have fun because I'm going to blink it twice. Now everything has changed.
yeah. And then also too, like it's one of those things where I play it for two, and I don't even care about politics because I'm like, it's a creature. Are you gonna burn your force of will on it? Okay, do it. For two, I burned a force of will. Great.
And then it didn't really affect my gameplay anyway.
Yeah. And then also, if somebody burns a force of will on this, the moment that that happens, I would just be like, okay, so clearly this person is trying to win.
Yeah, next turn it's
Now
happening.
that we know that, let me talk to the other two people. It's like the Pedro Pascal, where it's like, all right, blah blah blah. You should know this too. Like I
This is what just
immediately, yeah,
happened.
I immediately see that being like the table state at that point.
To be fair though, you try to do that to me a lot when we play cuz I'll draw a card and be like and you'll be like he's got win this turn. It's
Yeah.
like how do you even know that? And everybody's like, "No, you have a Tali next turn."
Yeah. Like, but Atali can whiff, so like, you know, stop him.
I do see this also, like I said, being hard to politic because I mean, if you're politicking to stop it,
You're gonna win.
you're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
win,
yeah,
which is clear once you think about it.
yeah,
But again, hidden gem. This
yeah,
is this is not gonna be the heavy hitter in the set, and you'll probably have two or three if you buy a bunch of packs.
yeah. It's one of those cards not threatening to play, telescopes what your opponents want to do quite a bit. Like, yeah,
For two.
yeah, for
Two,
two.
two, two, two effects you can decide. Like,
Yeah. And I think that there's not in CDH, but there's white blue decks that care about advisors in casual. Which I mean I think if you play this card in casual, people will get mad at you. But
I do think that they'll remember it
yeah,
the next game for
yeah.
sure. That's the problem with it is that it doesn't initially seem you're just like I'm gonna play this,
Hmm.
and then everybody's like, what is that? Okay, whatever. And then now it's like I'm playing my combo, and you tried to force a will. You don't
Yeah.
have you don't have any mana.
I I just really like that Avian Disruptor and Tax Collector both came out pretty,
Ugh.
and it's like, okay, like Rocco has its problems. It's not a great deck, but there are things that are being printed for it that I'm just like, oh, well, this is really cool. It makes me a little bit better. Like,
This is nice.
yeah,
Counter my creature.
now I can run a Naya deck where I have quite a bit to say about what goes on. Like,
So nasty. I,
the,
I think you plotted that avian is it avian disruptor or something?
yeah,
Oh, such a nasty card. It's messed me up so much.
yeah, plotted his ad nause, and then he didn't realize that it was only at sorcery speed, played something, and then reached for the ad nause to try to ad nause a counter. And I went, no, no, no,
Ah,
that's
The
sorcery.
the the smile was so big that I was upset. I was so upset. I was like, you.
I know exactly what you're trying to do. Yeah.
I think I was looking for a counter with
You were.
Adnos.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that we're seeing more of these cards, and I'm liking that they're not, super rare. And on the surface, the ability isn't necessarily doesn't seem game changing, but you will see this
Yeah.
turn games.
I mean, I've gotten to the point with Rocco that when I play Rocco, I feel like I'm playing blue. And whenever I started playing Rocco, people would just skip over me in priority for the most part. And now with our local group, they actually pass to me and go, "Can you do anything about this?" And I'll be like, "No, I'm not in blue." And then my turn comes up, and I'm like, "All right, well, tax collector bought avian."
so, so quick story here. Um, your decks usually never have blue, e-
Bad color.
except for your somewhat fun deck, which is the most terrifying to me.
Paco.
No, no, your frogs.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm okay with this
Gralnock.
the
Yeah.
the big scary I'm gonna Rocco Atali type things, but just in the play group, the amount of times people look at you to stop stuff is crazy and terrifying because it's like if you stop it, you're gonna put, for instance, you didn't counter my spell, you put it at sorcery speed, which is
Yeah.
like
Well,
what?
Gralnock too counters with abilities for the most part. So it's just like, oh yeah, I don't want you to have that Thassa's. You can pay one to keep it. Oh, you did pay the one? Well, now I'm just gonna straight up counter it. Oh, your hand is loaded with counter spells? Cool. Counter an ability. Like,
Can you stifle?
yeah.
No, cool.
All
All right,
right,
it's done.
cool. Yeah.
But it's funny to me because you'll be in uh, a lot of times sand blue colors, whatever combination sand blue, and it's like I'll see me play something, and even me, I'll look around the table and be like, okay, I think I got it, but I can't put this creature deck out of the game here
Yeah.
because lo and behold, now I'm plotted, or now I can't cast this. You know,
Well,
it's
also
just funny.
too, we play with somebody that runs sushi, which is Thrasios, the mono black planeswalker.
Tevish.
Tevish, yeah, Tevish Thrasios, and that deck is literally play sheriff, exhaust your opponents till
Win.
everyone's exhausted, win. And there's times where I'm just like, he's got counters for this, and then he'll pass, and I'm just like, hold on, okay, I'm gonna stop.
So frustrating. So frustrating. That
It's like I did not expect you to pass. I was saving this for me. I have to use it now. Like,
this will be like the Avon mind sensor, or not mind sensor, the one that plotted my
Aven Interrupter.
interrupt.
Yeah,
It's going to be like that one, to where I'm going to be like, this card, I like it as a card, but I hate when this gets played. Like I can't
against
do,
me. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can't do my things, and I have to think in a different way, which kudos Magic. I think this is good.
I also like that it's just opponents. Usually, white interaction ish spells like this will force everyone to do it. But this spell is literally like it is only opponents, and you can't get rid of it. So I think it's really sticky and it's really good.
I'm not looking forward to some of the game nights.
Yeah, it's going in Rocco today. I pulled it from my pack. All right. Well, we're gonna try to wrap this episode up because before it hits 2 hours. This was an episode that I was like, oh, there's not really many cards in here to talk about, and it's been our longest set review so far. So
That's funny.
yeah. All right. Well, if you got all the way to the end of this podcast or YouTube video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review, leave us a comment. Any interaction helps. We see a lot of people listening. I think we've only had 2 reviews. They are 5-star reviews, but only 2 reviews. So if you could please give us a reviews to push us in the algorithm, I'd appreciate it a whole bunch.
For sure.
All right. See you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.